Okay, mathematical modeling, one of the hardest or most challenging pieces to this is setting up the equation. So I want to talk about three different setups here. Specifically, we're going to talk about a box, a plot of land, and similar triangles, okay? So again, starting with, let's talk about a box, specifically a square box. Now, if you ever need to draw one of these, the fastest way to draw this, honestly, is just draw two squares. Like draw one and then draw another one slightly over. And then from there, connect the corners. It's like the fastest way to draw a box. Now, of course, I'm using technology here, but you can freehand this too if you wanted to, okay? And I know that I now have to go ahead and do that myself because, ready? Here we go, ready? Box, another box, connect. I mean, look how amazing that is. I mean, look at it. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so square base, x, and y. And what are the questions they could ask you? Well, it all depends on the setup. First of all, the volume is going to be x times y. Or just x squared y, length times width times height. The surface area, how many sides are there to a box? 6. Top, bottom, front, back, left, and right. For a box with a square base, we're going to have, let's see, the base and the bottom is x times x, and there are 2 of them, the top and the bottom. And then you've got one of the sides, x times y, and how many of those are there? There are 4 of them overall. Now, of course, if I want to clean this up a little bit, we could have like x squared y, and then that'd be 2x squared plus 4xy. That's not always the case, though. It depends. It's on a case-by-case scenario. If, for whatever reason, they go ahead and say, what if it's an open top? I've seen that before. If it's an open top, well, then the volume is still going to be x squared y. The surface area is now not going to have the top, so that means it's going to be just x squared plus 4xy. So do make sure you're careful with that on a case-by-case basis. That's for a box. Next up, let's talk about a plot of land. And for this plot of land, it's going to be rectangular, and we're going to divide it up into, let's have it into 2 equal parts, okay? So for this particular scenario, we're going to have a plot of land. We're going to attempt to draw 2 equal parts here. It's not bad. We're going to practice up for that one. And they'll label it something to the effect of, we have length times width, x times y. And then, so for this setup, what is the area? Yeah, just x times y. What is the perimeter? It is not 2x plus 2y. You told me the outer perimeter. This is 2x plus 3y. So if they talk about the perimeter of fencing, for instance, that's going to be x, y, y, y. You have to be careful with what's provided. So do note that when you're dealing with a plot of land. And then lastly, let's talk about similar triangles. So what I mean for this one is, let's say I have something like the following. Right triangle, but it's going to be similar triangles, as you're going to see in just a second. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll draw something right down the middle there, okay? So what are some setups you might encounter here? Well, they might give you something like, a lot of times I've seen them talk like x, and then height h. Maybe this is like 30, and then this is, I don't know, like 15. This is the overall length L overall, and some angle theta. And they could do a lot of different things here to figure this out. They could ask you, for instance, what is the relationship between, let's say, like maybe this is a person, or this is a street light. 15, I don't know what, maybe this is a shadow, but you can write one equation as x over 15 will equal h over x plus 30. Now, how did I do that? I basically said opposite over adjacent will equal the same opposite over adjacent because they're similar triangles. In fact, opposite over adjacent is tangent of that angle theta right there. It has the same ratio of sides. You could also be asked for the area. Area is 1/2 base. In this case, the base is x plus 30 times the height h. You could be also asked for the length L, possibly, and that would be Pythagorean theorem. That would be x plus 30 squared plus h squared equals L squared. So a lot of different things to consider depending on the context of the question. But between similar triangles, a plot of land, rectangular, and a square box, make sure you're able to set up these types of equations, because you will eventually see this.